Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to Continental Aspire Soccer. Today we've got Jack Hayes, the 21-year-old founder of East London's top football school. Here's a little teaser of what's to come.
Session had 42 kids in it when all I wanted, I think the minimum I needed was 15. The director of football, who's an ex-West Ham player, said to me, "Mate, my nan can have a level 1 coaching badge. It's that easy to get." Come out thinking, right, we can improve it, or I can come out and think, right, I'm done with these lot. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to tell him I'm not doing this anymore.
Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to Continental Aspire Soccer. Today I am joined by a guest that you may not have heard of, but hopefully by the end of this podcast you will remember for a long time. It's Jack Hayes of HayeziesFootballAcademy. He's proudly repping on the show. Jack has started his own footballing academy despite being the same age as me. Makes me think I've not achieved so much. I've noticed on his Instagram and things like that, he's been helping players get into different academies. And yeah, it's been majorly impressive to follow for a number of years. So Jack, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for that. That's a good intro. I mean, I've got a big ego as it is, so that's going to get even larger. Thanks. No, I've been good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, thank you. It's us to finally get it. But how are you doing with COVID and everything? I mean, we're both in London. There's rumours of the Tier 5. What's it like for you?
Can't wait. Do you know what it is? I'm getting to the stage where it's just boring now. Like, it's just getting so boring. And I thought about 2 months ago, I was thinking, right, things are finally getting better. It's going back into normality, and then bang, like, it goes straight back up again. And it's just stress. It's just extra stress, and it just causes you to go over more and more things. Do you know what I mean? And makes everything more difficult.
I think everyone's at the point now where it's just getting so long. But we'll start a bit more positively, because I'm sure everyone's heard enough about COVID. So Jack, last time me and you properly spoke was probably the last days of Year 11 doing our GCSE. So that's 6 years later. Here we are, 5 to 6 years later. Please take me on the journey. Fill in the gap. So what did you do after that? Did you go to college?
As you know, I went the brightest of kids in school. And I was a bit far from that. So when I left school, I didn't have a lot of GCSEs. And to be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Obviously, I like football. I used to go football with you all the time over at Romford Goals, OG. And I thought, right, what can I do? My main interest was football. So I looked into sports courses in colleges, and I got into a BTEC course because the requirements were different GCSEs for different levels. And because I didn't do so well in school, a lot of my mates got into higher levels, and I started at a very low level and had to work my way through the years and additional years to get up to their qualification. So really, if I would have been better in school and got better qualifications at GCSEs, it would have been much easier when I was in college, and I would have probably left a year earlier or 2 years earlier.
I find that pretty interesting, though. I mean, for the audience and you, Jack, obviously it's been a long time since we spoke. So I did okay in GCSEs and I went to college, but I was like, I didn't really know what to do. I ended up going to university and doing sociology and dropping out after a year because it's not something I wanted to do. So the fact that you've I kind of admire the way you like. I think GCSEs nowadays mean even less, especially after COVID. I think loads of people have been affected badly. I kind of respect the way I thought you were going to say something that you chose a different topic and maybe it came at a later date. I tried to see the earliest beginnings of your footballing career and stuff. I thought it was a bit later. So that's pretty interesting. The way you got straight into it. So wait, how long did you spend at college then?
What was it? 2.5 years at college. That's how long I was there for. I went and done a level 1 course, which all of my mates went on to either level 3 or level 2. And I was in basically a class where I had other classes beside me in parallel with people that I went to school with doing their level 2s and level 3s, where I was in a completely new class with no one that I knew, doing obviously less work. But the frustrating thing was at the time that I could actually do the work that the other people done at the levels above. It was just obviously my academic beforehand wasn't impressive enough and wasn't good enough. And that was probably because of behaviour and things like that. Do you know what I mean? But the first year I'd done my level 1, second year I'd done my level 2, and then the half a year, I already completed my level 3, and it was all really, really early. So by the time the curriculum ended, I was done months beforehand, while there was still people in them classes with me still studying. So I could have left college a lot earlier than what I did.
Tell me through, what exactly like was the content of it? Because I haven't met too many people who've, one, got into the stuff you have, and two, I think a lot of people tend to fall into it. So what exactly was it like you were studying? Like, was it a lot? So you're saying sports psychology, was it a lot to do with football, or was it kind of all spread over the place?
It was all put over the place, and when I went into it, I thought, right, I was doing a footballing scheme, college scheme, which was linked to Romford Football Club. So I was buzzing. I thought, brilliant, like football. But when you go into it and you look at different categories of what you're learning, it's quite what's the word, biased off of football. It's more looking at cricket and rugby and stuff, and because obviously we're all footballers trying to do this course, or we're interested in football, I think they chose football less in the curriculum than made us explore and look at other sports. But there was bits and pieces. But the schedule was at college. You do your football training in the mornings, probably start at 9 and finish at about 12ish. It was quite long. And then we'd done our lunch, and then the rest of the day, remainder of the day, for the last 3 hours, would be our curriculum work and our theory work, which is things like the skeletal system, muscular system, and just different parts of the body and things like that. That's what we sort of learned. But yeah, it was quite heavily involved in football. And then on the Wednesdays, that would be your game day. So there'll be no college if you were lucky on the Wednesday, and you go and play away somewhere like Norwich United or Oxford City or something like that.
Jeez. I mean, that leads pretty nicely on into, so Jack's obviously he's been coaching at I believe coaching at a local side in our area called Romford. You may have heard of it, in and around London, far east end of London, not the most glamorous of spots. But yeah. I'm genuinely, I've got a lot of questions about this time. So it was like a scheme you were put into to go into Romford. So what did you just kind of start as like one of the coaches? Was there what was it like there?
I started off as a player. I was actually playing for them early on, and to be honest, it didn't go too well. I was always injured. I weren't really good enough for that team. Stopped going to training a lot. I didn't really want to go training. I was very lazy. And I realised within the years at the college that I actually enjoyed coaching a lot more than I did playing. And I still do now, obviously. So I looked into that a lot more, and I started coaching, and I stopped playing football. And then I went on to be a first team coach at Romford Football Club for the first team when I was 17.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I was coaching men that were probably around 25 to 30.
Would they listen to you and things like that? Because I mean, you're a lot taller than me. I think you're a bit better built. If I was going into a team and trying to tell 25 to 30-year-olds what to do, I think they'd be like, sure, mate, whatever.
Joe, what? I went in, I was really nervous, like really, really nervous. It helped me out because, Joe, what? I must have joined 6 games left of the season, and it was more of a shadow period. So I'd go in under a manager that's been there for 10, he's there for 10 plus years. And I got on quite well with him. And all I wanted to do and what I inquired for to go there was to basically learn about what he does and what his routine is with a football club and how they operate. And I went in there for the last six games, and I watched his training, I watched his team play and how he sets up. And they was in a relegation battle at the time, and they was something like 2 games left with 5 points clear at the bottom. So it was really impossible for them to stay up, and they did eventually stay up on the last game. With that, I could have actually went to another team that were 2 leagues higher, but I sort of really, really enjoyed the shadowing part and looking for the opportunity to stay there and coach, which I regret now. I'll be honest, I do regret that now, because I should have went to the other team, because the following season I went there with the mindset, oh, brilliant, I'll be there for training every week. I'll be organising training. I'll have a big influence on it. And all pre-season, I was doing a lot of coaching. I was helping set up. I was in and around the team, and I weren't nervous anymore because I got on with all the players, and they was more friends as well of just players. And there was always a bit of camaraderie there. So that was good, and we was fine. We was doing really well. We was top of the league for a while, which never happened for Romford in years, as there was always a relegation team. And then we lost a couple games. I think it was 2 or 3 games in the space of 10 days. And the manager changed his mind and changed his opinion on me as a coach. And that's when I dropped out from there, from Romford, and I stopped coaching for them. So yeah, a bit of a long-winded answer to that, but that's the story behind that.
One thing I did want to hit on, because I'm coming from this from the perspective which I know you're probably going to answer, is that, so I've looked at some of your coaching things, the things you do in your academy now, and they're like clearly very high level. I know that if I was telling someone, oh yeah, I'm coaching at this team, which is, I believe, in tier 7 or 8 of the Football League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know if I told someone I'm coaching there, they're going to go, oh, what are you learning? It must be just like pub sides, like what's the level of it? But what would your answer to those people say that be?
To be honest, I was quite shocked when I started it. I thought, right, obviously that there'll be a few geezers there that I know, I mean, like Jack the Lad sort of thing. But there was players in there that have played really, really good level of football and experience. And you sort of see, when I was at Romford or East Thurrock, or I was at Redbridge or Barkingside, I've had more clubs than Tiger Woods. And you see all these players that either go up the football pyramid and sign for teams 2 leagues above, or I've seen players from that level make it into the Football League, or I'm seeing players drop down from the Football League. So you've always got good ability in there, and you'll always be shocked and surprised at some of the players. So it's not always, if you go into a certain level and you look at the team, you think, oh no, like they're going to be a poor side, or they're not going to play very nice football. You might be surprised at some of the teams, how they play, and some of the players that are in them teams.
I guess the standard of how much people take it seriously, is it a lot higher than you think the stereotype would be?
Yeah, 100%, 1,000,000%. Yeah, I was really surprised.
See, that's something that's going to be nice for the viewers, I think. I mean, I'd like to back you up as well, just because I know growing up, I definitely would have been a very Premier League driven supporter, very Premier League driven viewer. But I remember being dragged to a Dagenham and Redbridge team, which must be one of the teams you must have played against, or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember getting dragged to watch one of their games in League 2, and I'm thinking, all right, and then watched a little known fella called Dwight Gale, and all the people telling me he's going to go on to big things, and in 2 years he's in the Premier League. So you do get those players at that level. And so what sort of things were you doing on a daily basis? So you obviously weren't the first team manager, but first team coach, I know you said you didn't get to do as much as you wanted in that second year, but what sort of things were you getting up to?
So obviously over the pre-season period, that's when it's sort of what you call like a tune-up. So you get the players in, you get them ready for the pre-season. Obviously they've had 7 or 8 weeks off from the last season, so they might have come back from holiday. They ain't done no running, they ain't done regular training as what they would have in the football season. So when they do come back, it's always the hardest for a player and as a coach pre-season, because you'd have players give up at times, you have players not wanting to do certain drills. It's quite a mental struggle as well as a physical struggle. And what we had to do is basically things like running, and then gradually bring the football side into it. So, for example, it's always a classic thing. People will turn up and look for footballs straight away on the first day of pre-season to see if there's football involved, or is it just running? And yeah, that's what it is. And then gradually you bring the football into it, and then you look at maybe doing patterns of play, your shape work, and things like that. So when the football season started, I was quite enthusiastic about working defensively. So I always used to take the back 4 or a back 5 if it later changed. And I really enjoyed doing defensive work. Although people think it might be a bit boring and they want to take forwards and strikes and stuff, I did like working the shape of the back 4.
You said you managed coached at Romford. Was it East Thurrock, Barkingside? What was the other one? Redbridge.
Redbridge, and then I went back to Romford. Yeah.
So when you're going to all of these clubs and like you're picking up the experiences, which is clear, like I think anyone watching will see you've got a really high footballing IQ. When you're at these clubs, how much do you sort of buy into it in terms of if Romford lose and Thurrock lose, that's your day ruined? Or is it all kind of part of a process you're thinking, right, this is all just going to help me build and build, like with defensive work? So, all right, if the defense goes out, has a bad day, it's like,
Yeah,
what can I learn
yeah.
from this? Or is it, because I know you're a Millwall fan, so is that sort of support spread over into the teams you're coaching at?
It depends. It depends. Obviously, you know what? Different times and different solutions and things like that. I could either come out and thinking, right, we can improve it, or I can come out and think, right, I'm done with these lot. Do you know what I mean? I'm throwing the towel in. I'm not doing this anymore. And throw my toes out the pram. But no, I always, because I was obviously quite new to it at Romford and things like that, it was all of a learning process. And if we lost, yeah, but I didn't really have the experience enough to be frustrated as other people were at the time. But obviously now that I've had a few years of experience, I know what it means to certain teams in the league and what 3 points means to a football club and how it can have an effect on a team. Then yeah, you want to win every game and you want to win well. And it always shows a different reaction if you lose or if you win or if you draw, depending on the situation. For example, Romford was always in the relegation battle, and we was top of the league at one point, and we was riding our luck and thinking, what's going on? And then when you get into the losing stages, you're like, oh, we're back to normality now, sort of thing. But if you're in that relegation battle, like the last 6 games I was there for, I could see what that meant to people when they was getting them little results, and it led up to them staying up.
You said you've picked up a coaching licenses here at the
Yeah.
clubs, right? Can you talk me through that? Because I'm probably one of a lot of people. You hear he's got his UEFA B license, he's got his coaching C license. How does it actually all work? If explain it to me as if I'm a 4-year-old.
So, so basically, do you know what? Funny enough, I spoke about this to one of my coaches yesterday, and I could go out to a training pitch tomorrow and find a 25, for example, 25-year-old coach who's not got a level 1 coaching badge, which is the minimum coaching badge you can get. And he can be excellent. He can be better than a UEFA B or UEFA A or UEFA Pro license coach, which is the highest standard of coaches. And I think qualifications are only there for football clubs to look at your resume and bring you in, because the truth is every football club has a grade of their training facility, and you can only employ coaches on that training facility that are up to the standard of the qualification. And what you need to do basically is you go into your level 1, which takes around about a week of tutoring and studying, deliver 1/2 an hour of a practical drill, and maybe I think it's 10 minutes of a warm up beforehand. And then to go into your level 2, they've changed it. For the last few years, you've just been doing, for example, a few weeks of your level 2. But now that's changed. Now they've divided it now into blocks. So you're going to have to go and do a block 1, a block 2, block 3, and I think it's up to block 4 of different courses. So every block adds up to a course. So it's a bit divided now, and it's a lot bigger of a process. But they've done that due to trying to get the best quality coaches, because they don't want to have anyone on a UEFA B. They want to have someone that's worked hard towards the B.
I remember a few years ago, there was a media report run about the English coaching system versus other countries. I think the comparison was in Italy. It cost like £100 to get your first few licenses, and it's done within a few weeks. And in the UK, it was like a few £1,000 just to get them. I'm gonna imagine it's like I said, it's changed up a bit. But what exactly are you learning in these different things? So, example, grade 1, is it just more of kind of what you're doing or know what to do?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll say you a quote that will sum it all up. When I spoke to Millwall about a possible employment for coaching, when I said that I had a level 1, the director of football, who's an ex-West Ham player, said to me, "Mate, my nan can have a level 1 coaching badge. It's that easy to get." That was his words. Yeah, that was his words. So level 1's quite easy, if I'm being honest. I think anyone can go in and do a level 1 qualification and come out with it. Funny enough, though, me saying that, when I went on mine, I had a few people that that didn't get it, and that's because they didn't deliver their practical. But it's a very, very, very easy qualification to get.
How do you fail that then? Is it what sort of players are you working with? Is it like younger players or more the senior ones like at Romford?
So when you go and do your level 1, you work with a group that you're currently studying with. So when I went in with Romford, the Romford College scheme, who put me onto the level 1, and I was in a group of about 30 people, all different ages. There could be 18-year-olds, there could be 40-year-olds in there. It could be men or women. And yeah, so they give you a session. They make you study for a week on different things, like the mental side of things, the safeguarding. And then 2 days before they want you to deliver a practical, they give you a drill to do. You don't pick your own one, they give you a drill to do, and it's normally with a partner. And the people involved in your session and who you'll be coaching are the people in your class. So when you go in, you can't just pick your own drill and think, yeah, it's going to be really smooth, because you're dealing with people that might not even want to do football, that might just been sent there by companies or whatever, which was the case when I was there. When I started, there was I specifically remember 3 friends that worked for a coaching company that were involved in performing arts and dance that I didn't know, and said to the tutor that we don't want to play football, we have no interest in football. And they turned out to be the ones that didn't get their qualification. So when we're trying to do a session or a drill for them, it's obviously going to be difficult.
Yeah, that's a nice insight into it, because most people just hear the UEFA B, UEFA C, but the Millwall story is brilliant. The fact you also went for it. I mean, I want to get on near the end about what you want to do with the coaching things, I think, but I think this is a nice segue into Hayezies Footballing Academy. At what point did you decide? At what point did you, first of all, before you even set it up and everything like that, what point did you decide to get into it? Because surely you're on track, you're learning your different things at the different clubs. What motivates you to go into say, okay, I'm now gonna have this thing on the side, or the main thing, treat it like a main thing, to say I'm gonna now teach kids around my area and give them high-level coaching drills?
I thought of it in college, my first year of college. So what was I, 16? That's when I thought of it. I don't know why, but I just thought of it. I think that'd be a good idea, or something to do one day. And then when I left college, I became a PE teacher.
Okay.
When I think it was 2 weeks before I turned 18, I just joined a company to become a PE teacher in schools. And I was working with kids that were 6 years younger than me at the time. That were 5 to 11, and in that time that I was there, I was at the company for about 3 years, and in that time I met some very good footballers all around my area, and I met some really nice teachers and things like that. And within them years and all these different types of schools, I had a good bit of camaraderie with the kids. I built up a good relationship with the parents. And I actually thought, why am I doing this for a company? For them to see, obviously, benefits from me building up good relationships in schools and with students and parents, when I could go and create a similar product or a similar service and do that off my own back, which is what I'd done. And obviously, I had the image of doing it previously, and yeah, that's how it all started.
Jeez. You said at the start. You weren't exactly the brightest student. I think that proves the opposite. The fact you managed to sit there and think, okay, this is something that I can do, and for the reasons you said. Because I remember when I saw it, I was thinking, this is something you don't. The only thing I'd ever seen like it is something in probably around Essex and East London. People know of Danny Searle Soccer School, and all that was.
Yeah, I used to go to it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And I guess that was a lot more aimed at just. I guess that was aimed more as like a half-term project, getting kids out and active. Camps. But yours is a lot more aimed at. It seems a lot more aimed at actually really trying to help the different kids you teach to make it as a footballer. But how do you get everything sorted once the mind clicks? It's very difficult to go, I want to do this idea, and then not only manage to fund it, set it up, do it in a really good social media way. I think that's what's really struck me. It looks incredibly professional with the videos and the photos. You have your own, well, no other way to say it, you have your own uniform and merch.
Yeah.
What's the first steps into that? If there's anybody else that wants to get into it, how do you set it up?
Obviously, like I said, I was in schools previous, and it all adds up. So I'm teaching after school football clubs, and I'm teaching PE to kids that really love football. And obviously, you have conversations with them saying, "Who do you play for?" or "How'd you get on Sunday when you played in like the Echo team or whatever, Echo League?" Sorry. And then obviously I had the mindset of, right, I'm going to try and create this academy now. But before I do that, I need to make sure it's sufficient. So I tried to estimate the numbers of kids per school, thinking, yeah, Johnny from this school might come, or Alfie from this school might come, or Sarah might come, and try and make the session numbers up from that, and see if it'd be runnable. And it was right from the start. My first session had 42 kids in it when all I wanted, I think the minimum I needed was 15.
Oh my
word.
I
thought I was going to get, and I thought I was going to get 25. And yeah, that's what I got, 42. And then the following week I had 47. And yeah, I was a bit blown away from it. And I think that was mostly because of the relationship that me and my coaches at the time, which I'm very fortunate to have, had with the kids as well, and how well we got on. So that helped a lot.
42 and then 47. I think the more impressive thing about that is that a lot of them went in and then straight away came back for the next week. So
yeah,
sorry, that really took me off guard there, the amount of kids who got in there. Well, but I've seen you say before, I mean, just to make sure it's clarified, I've seen you say before that it is for all ages, because the drills aren't exactly, they're not, anyone can look at the drills on your socials, which we'll have links in below for. Anyone can look at them and see, they're quite high level. So is it, what's the average age then? Or what, is it not just kids? Do you sometimes get people our age or a bit younger coming in and saying, yeah, help me out?
Yeah, so it's all inclusive. So it can go to any age. Obviously, our academy is only 5 to 13 for the group sessions. And obviously all inclusive is all ability. So you could have low ability kids, high ability kids, different ages, obviously. And you bring them in. And what we normally do is we have an hour evenings, which is we can do 2 hours sometimes. And myself and other coaches will split the group up into two, and we'll have one half of the hall if it's indoors, or if it's outdoors, we have one half of the pitch to do a drill, and the other person does another drill that side. And we make sure it's complex for the older group, not the older group, or maybe the older group, or the more developed group and the high ability kids. And then we change over at halfway through so that the other people go on the other drill. And for the kids that have less ability, obviously it comes down from complex into a basic drill. So instead of, for example, a kid dribbling in a zigzag, you might get them to dribble in a straight line. So yeah, we always need to adapt things. And I think the more years you do coaching and you learn off of other people, the more little cheats, if you want, more little cheat codes to change it.
Something you mentioned earlier is kind of put a bit of water on one of the questions about us, but I'm still going to go with it. So I've only ever worked with kids once, and that was in work experience in school. It was for 2 weeks, and I couldn't have hated it with more fibers of my body. So do the kids actually, like, how serious are they during it? Because I know they want to play football, but they're still kids. They're going to misbehave.
Yeah, I know that too well, mate. I know that too well. So listen, at my academy, I can tell you 100 stories of good players, and I can tell you 100 stories about funny incidents and funny moments. And we've got all different types of characters at our academy, and we're happy to obviously coach them all. So we could have kids there that just want to turn up and have a bit of fun, and just play a bit of football. Or we'll have players that turn up with really good standards and really good ability that want to progress and do really well in football and go places, which we're very, very fortunate to have and lucky to have them players.
So yeah, and the way you said you split the field up, I guess that kind of caters to them. The kids are a bit more in it for fun than the ones taking it more seriously. Yeah. That's really smart though, in terms of the fact you've almost got 2 sessions at once, and you can market to the people who I guess the dads say, I want my kid to be Kylian Mbappe. And then you've got the
Yeah,
other ones that
yeah,
say, I want my kid out of the house.
yeah. 100%.
It's very clever. But I mean, this is the sort of thing, like we said, we touched on Danny Sell. He was a former footballer.
Yeah.
You're like 18, 19, 20 around this time, and you still coaching at other clubs like Romford and things like that.
Yeah. So I was obviously 17 when I started at Romford. My academy started when I was what would I been? Be 18. 18 or 19, I don't know. But yeah, I started that, and then I went to where did I go? I've been everywhere. I went to East Park when I was 19 as well. And yeah, so I was quite young. It's quite hard when you're young and you want to do a bit of coaching. Do you know what I mean? Because you could be standing in a change room with a load of senior pros senior pros that are 30 or maybe even a bit older than that, and they've played in the football league. For example, I could name a couple, but I probably won't. That don't really want to listen to your coaching advice or don't want to do your drills, which I'll be honest has happened before. But then it could be the flip side, and I could go into a team where I have recently, and everyone goes and buys into it, and not goes and buys into it only, that they also build up a good relationship with you, and that's the best thing when you're going into a football club. You're motivated, the players are motivated, and yeah, they want to learn and they enjoy your coaching.
Well, I was leading on from that. I was just going to say, how much free time have you had in this? Because you're doing this, and I think most people, none is the answer. Yeah, you're doing this in the time where most people want to go out and live, but you're getting your you're doing coaching experience. Then then at the same time, it's disrespecting to say it on the side, because it's like you've got two main things. How have you done that for all this time and keeping it up?
The non-league football that I do is obviously that's part-time stuff. So they'll probably train Tuesday evenings, Thursday evenings, and their game either on a Saturday or maybe a Tuesday. And then my football academy progressed. So obviously I was doing my PE teaching, and then I went into my football academy, which was only 1 hour a week on a Wednesday, which has now changed. That's my new full-time job. I'm quite lucky to now teach my football academy within schools in and around the Essex and London area, and also obviously do it on the weekends as well. So it's been quite a big change. And you're right, I have no time at all to myself.
Good. That's pretty crazy though, the growth of it. Because I remember when I first saw it, like I said, I was thinking this is new, but like you're not sure where it could go. And I think in 2020, a lot of people have seen things like Etsy, like local businesses. They can really rise up if they have support. But what's it been like then? Like what was the moment where you thought, okay, I don't even need to have a part-time job. This can be the main source of your income.
This is the moment that I sort of decided myself, is when I was at the PE teaching company, and I was going into schools, and I was getting, I was having conversations with parallel PE teachers in that school, or teachers that go to that school, and say, oh, I've seen your football academy, or I've seen you coach so-and-so's son, or some of the teachers might have even said you've taught my son, and things like that. So I had a good rapport, and then I put the ideas forward to teachers and head teachers and obviously schools, and they bought into it, and luckily they did, and that's now what we do.
There you go. And so this is all going well. It's going through 2019, and you're getting this every week. Then it hits 2020 and March. What is going through your mind when you get told you can't do it anymore?
Meltdown. Obviously, no one at the time. I don't know about yourself, but I just didn't think it was. When you first hear about it, you're like, oh, all right. I don't really think a lot of it. I don't think it's going to be massive. And then that's my first indication. I thought, oh, we'll be all right. And obviously that wasn't the case. And then schools were closing. And obviously you can't run in schools, and that's our business. That's what we do. That's our purpose. So we had to sort of reevaluate what we was doing and look into what we were doing. And it was everyone that was really that was providing the same service. Instead of now going into schools and picking up a class of 30 and going to teach whatever sport, gymnastics, football, anything, we now are teaching a class of 5 key worker kids, or we're teaching a big bubble of a whole school, which might contain 60 kids or not even that, maybe even 30 kids, depending on the day, which is what I was doing and what other coaches were doing.
It must be frustrating for you as well, going in and out of the year. Like one moment it's all completely fine, and it gets later into winter and it's all under threat again. Has it been, like you're saying, you've got the bubble and things? Have you managed to kind of persevere through since March, or have you had to stop at certain times, start again?
I'll be completely honest. With our school stuff, it's been difficult. But with our extracurriculum stuff at the weekends, it progressed, it improved massively.
Oh, really?
Yes, because since day one of lockdown, there's always been leeway on individual coaching, which obviously I'm sure you know we do one-to-ones.
Yeah.
And I started the academy doing one-to-ones, and I was doing it myself with no other coaches, with probably a couple footballs, a couple hurdles, with about 4 sessions a day. So 4 hours basically.
Yeah.
And now, yesterday was my last one-to-one sessions, and that's with 3 coaches, or possibly even to a maximum of 7 I've had at a time.
Yeah.
And have over 25 to 30 kids doing one-to-ones, which is what we was doing a few months ago. Was probably the highlight of it, around August time, where it was brilliant. I opened up a goalkeeping school. I had a photographer there at the time as well, a videographer. I was again fortunate to have very good coaches around me, which were 5 or 6 at a time, depending on our numbers. And we was getting 25 to maybe even plus 30 kids come over and do one-to-ones.
I mean, I saw you tense up a little with the like when you were saying, yesterday is the last individual thing. But I guess some people, you're probably thinking some people might go, oh, like it's a lockdown, or it's this, it's that, not gonna see each other. I think that's such like you were saying, it's picked up during this time. You've probably played a big crucial role in some kids because they've not been able to see their friends. I think that a lot of people, especially in football clubs that I've paid attention to, like in academies, they've called it a crisis because they've just basically been desocialized. So I imagine for a lot of families and lots of kids, you've managed to, like, you take them out on the weekend and saying, all right, we're going to not only just take you out and distract you, but you're going to work towards like something you want to be in. That, I really rate that. What can we just touch on that goalkeeping school though? So you're a defensive coach. I know you work in and around with other people, but is there a couple of coaches or people in Hayezies Football Academy that are a bit that are more common around?
So what basically, Joe, what obviously I'll be completely honest with you. I've never had any interest in goalkeeping coaching, not at all, right? And I the last thing I'd ever want to be is a goalkeeper. All right, I'm skinny, fat, and I'm tall, so I probably look like a goalkeeper. and in all honesty, I looked on social media, and all of a sudden, I was really interested in goalkeeper coaching. Really, really interested in it, and I was looking at things like, I'm sure you've seen like viral coaching drills where they've got loads of water bottles on the floor and they're half volleying the ball into the water bottles and the goalkeeper's got to deflect it, or you see goalkeepers running through poles and jumping over hurdles. So I looked at that and I thought, wow, like that is nothing like a footballer drill sort of thing. And so it was completely different. So I got really, really into it, and I thought that would be excellent to try and work on. And I think it's even more exciting than normal outfield footballers. It's a bit different. So yeah, we decided to do that, and I thought, right, I'm not really experienced enough at it, and I don't think that me going straight into it would be a good idea. So I contacted a number of goalkeepers or goalkeeper coaches to see if they would be willing to come and join, obviously, our staff and do that for us on the weekends. And I've done really, really well to get a goalkeeper coach. I'll say his name, George. He'll love that. And he's been brilliant. He's been excellent. I don't think I could ask for anyone better. And everything that I wanted, he's delivered. He's come over. He's been very enthusiastic, and you know that the kids have enjoyed it, and the coach has done well when obviously they're coming back, and they're also giving us brilliant feedback and saying that obviously George has done really well for us. And the kids are enjoying it. and also the parents stay and watch, and the parents to speak to the coaches, and yeah, I've always had very good feedback about Georgia, a goalkeeper coach. So yeah, it was a good insight into how to change it up and add things.
Personally, that's kind of hit on something with me, because I look a lot less like a goalkeeper than you, like you were saying. But when I was younger, I was training to be a goalkeeper at Danny Sell's soccer school. We've touched on many times. There was a couple of scouts who singled me out, even though I was very short. I guess they were hoping they'd give me growth pills. And I remember they said, "Can you come along to this goalkeeping training thing?" And it was just stand still, jump up, catch the ball, stand still, jump up, catch the ball, dive side to side, dive side to side. But the way you're talking, like, you got the more exciting drills. Kind of wish I had that when I was younger now. So makes it a bit more fun. So you saying like Georgia's working with you or under you with you, whichever one you choose. How many people are actually involved with you? Are you like a young Elon Musk with your business here? How many people got going here?
No, Joe, what? They're all my friends. Everyone that coaches are all my friends. So going into it, before I even started, I thought, right, who can I get to help me out? And that is the phrase, help me out. And I did some friends to come over and coach, and they're very good coaches. I've got my, not just coaches as well. I've got people that do my bookings. I've got my mate Nuge. I don't know if you know him. Nuge afterwards. He does all my texts and he puts out confirmation bookings for the parents. And I think without him, I wouldn't have an academy, if I'm being completely honest. He helped me with my camps. He helps me. He sends out invitations. He does all my social media stuff. He takes videos and pictures. And then on the coaching side, I've got a young apprentice called Matt who joined us recently, but he's really enthusiastic. And I was very, very impressed when he joined. I was over the moon. He done a bit of a practical interview for his first session, and he went straight into it, set his own ideas up, done his own drill, didn't copy any other coach. He was very confident, and he's a really good person as well. So we got him on board straight away. And then we've got Reese. So I'm naming them all. I'm going through them, but we got Reese, who was a PE teacher in parallel with me. We worked in the same schools, and we built a friendship through that. And he's got involved with me, and he's done the exact same as me. We've got the exact same role in terms of being one of the main coaches. And I can trust him with any drill or any footballer, and he was there coaching with me yesterday. So he's very, very reliable. He's got very good ideas, and I don't think I can ask for a better coach.
It's like got your mini empire. The phrase I hear a lot of the time is "don't employ your mates," but it seems like you've worked the opposite of that. It's worked out. Yeah, it's benefit for you. All right, I wanted to touch on as well, just for, I guess we start to wrap things up. I wanted to touch on the fact that I've obviously been going through your posts and everything, and there's been a couple of players you've said have gone. Yeah, indeed. I have to do my research, but there's a couple of players who, a couple of young lads who've gone into different academies. I think one you mentioned with West Ham. How does that work? So do you recommend them to these places, or do they just get picked up like naturally by other teams? What's it like?
So we've got, to be fair, we want to try and build a pathway into our players going into football clubs, and that's on the reputation of us coaches also. So, and the truth is as well, there would probably be a lot more players in our academy at this current time at clubs if the football season was running and the football training was running. A few players at the minute that I want to bring over to these clubs, and obviously I can't, but. They're very exciting players, and a lot of them will be going places.
It's interesting to see that pathway. I guess it must be doing a lot of clubs favours, because you're spanning quite a large area here. There's a lot of schools, a lot of kids who want to be footballers, and the fact you're kind of bringing them in. And I didn't realise it'd be so easy to kind of recommend them to clubs and things. I thought a lot of them might turn them away or say, "Oh, come on, it's just like they must get thousands of approaches." But I guess if you manage to build up a lot of trust with these different clubs that you can recommend players to, so a lot of trust within sort of this football world around here. Yeah,
so obviously it's very difficult. I should have really expressed that it is quite difficult for these players to get into clubs because there's so many different teams within a club. So, for example, if I want to go and send a player over to West Ham or Chelsea, the two clubs that I mentioned previous, they'd have to go on to a trial basis where they'd be watched for a couple of sessions, and then from there they get evaluated, and they could be getting told that maybe it's not worked out and you should go try somewhere else, which is quite difficult, but it's very rare that that happens. They'll either go into a development team, which is players just sort of learning and are very good players, and then they will be going into something called TIC. TIC is for those that have very good technique, very good ability, and are looking to get into the pre-academies. That are either going to go into the academies or go into the pre-academies. And obviously the pre-academies are for kids that are too young. That I think, what's the age? I think the age is about 7 downwards, I believe. I might be wrong. Or the kids obviously within the academy, which is obviously the kids that are most the kids with the most ability.
Yeah, you said it's a bit difficult. I didn't realize as well how many levels there are to these clubs. There's like to get into it. But you're kind of giving. I think Wallace has been really good at is kind of. There's a lot of words you hear around like coaching license, development squad, things like that. It's interesting to actually hear the explanations behind it. Okay, but just to end up, I want to get onto your aspirations. So you said you've tried to get into Millwall, the team you support, which I couldn't rate more highly at the moment. But I imagine you're thinking the ceiling's higher than that. Where do you want to go from here?
Oh, that's a big question.
It is indeed.
I want to go on holiday, mate. That's where I want to go. Obviously, can't at the minute. How can I describe it? I want to get to a pathway where I look and I see a majority of players come out of my academy and go and make it as footballers. That's from me looking out into what they could achieve and what my academy could achieve. But me as an individual, what I want to do is coach within a very good academy system, which I'm going to be very fortunate to currently be in and also get in. And I want to go very high and maybe even go into the senior level of professional football as a first team coach or part of the coaching staff. Be quite influential into a coaching system, whether that be higher ability in the academy or higher age group in the academy, or a high level in senior football.
That was a great answer, man. Listen, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, it's been superb. I thought the answer you've given, the insight you've given as well into a world which I think some people might underrate, but after this, anyone who listens to it will come away very invigorated. Thanks for coming on, mate. I know the links are going to be in the description, but have you got anything else?
Give them followers.
Yeah, if you got any, tell us where you can find them. For the people who won't scroll down, tell us where we can find you.
Instagram at Hayezies Football Academy. Simple. No space, no capitals. See you there.
There we go. Very sleek. All right. Thanks again, Jack. And thank you for ladies and gentlemen listening along. This has been Continental Aspire Soccer.